10 years ago, in 2014, a series of sudden controversial changes to Minecraft server rules by Mojang would result in the biggest backlash the game had ever received at the time.
Your favorite server is going to cease to exist, and you won't be able to play on it anymore because we won't be able to afford to pay our bills.
Creating the hashtag #SaveMinecraft movement, leading to the biggest Minecraft community project ever being shut down, with Mojang themselves being DMCA'd, and ultimately resulting in Notch selling the game to Microsoft due to the outrage he was receiving.
I just figured, I don't know if I want to put up with this anymore.
These changes resulted in some of Minecraft's biggest and most famous servers being forced to shut down.
MCPVP ran out of money to fund itself,
with others entirely abandoned and left to slowly decline because of it. The ramifications of that fateful day are still felt now, with Minecraft servers having less than half the players they did 10 years ago.
What about people like me, Mojang, who donated $1,200?
How did everything go so incredibly wrong? How did Minecraft multiplayer almost die? To explain, we'll have to first go back to 2013, the year prior to the drama. In 2013, Minecraft was at its all-time peak in popularity, significantly bolstered by the burgeoning Minecraft multiplayer scene. Thousands upon thousands of servers with unique game modes and minigames had taken over the Minecraft community, some servers getting thousands, if not tens of thousands of players daily, forever cementing their names in Minecraft history. In fact, just to illustrate how popular Minecraft servers were, one of the owners of Mineplex, the biggest server at the time, mentioned that roughly 25% of all existing Minecraft PC accounts had joined Mineplex at least once that year. That's tens of millions of people. These monolithic servers didn't just come from nowhere. Beginning in 2010 with the release of the first Minecraft survival server software, ever since the Minecraft multiplayer community had been rapidly growing. The community, without the help or direction of Mojang whatsoever, had developed their own server software, thousands upon thousands of plugins allowing for server-side game modifications, letting server owners create unique game modes on their servers, a variety of independent Minecraft server hosting services, Minecraft server listing websites with the ability for paid promotion, amongst so much more. Basically, the entire Minecraft multiplayer ecosystem that a very significant number of the game's player base regularly played in was entirely founded, developed, and maintained by the Minecraft community. Mojang had no input whatsoever besides providing a simple server jar. They were entirely unrelated. Some servers had become so big that they were seeing more daily players than many AAA games. And when you have servers with so many players, you obviously need money to keep such servers operational. It's no secret servers require money to function. Even smaller ones, which see player counts around 10 to 20, do as well. As such, for the longest time, servers had donations and purchasable goods which would help fund everything. Some servers took advantage of this fact though and made profits from selling pay-to-win goods amongst various other in-game perks. But regardless, the ability to spend money on Minecraft servers was a necessity for these servers to remain operational. And this is where the first issue arose. You see, in late 2013, Minecraft's End User License Agreement, or EULA, that governs what you can and can't do with Minecraft as a whole, was discreetly edited without anyone realizing, adding some very vague claims related to Minecraft servers. Notably, the one major rule is that you must not distribute anything we've made, you must not make commercial use of anything we've made, try to make money from anything we've made, or let other people get access to anything we've made in a way that is unfair or unreasonable. The issue here was that almost all Minecraft server owners were breaking this rule. Many used servers in commercial ways, many made money from their servers, and many offered pay-to-win in-game advantages, thus letting people access content in an unfair way. Up to this point, no server had ever been taken down by Mojang, and prior to this, the EULA never mentioned anything about you not being able to make money from servers, or not allowing people to access goods on servers in unfair ways. Now, the EULA was pretty much ignored by everyone at that point, nothing with it was ever really seemingly enforced, so this change went mostly unnoticed for a while. But then a few months later in May of 2014, Minecraft's own version of server hosting, Realms, would release worldwide. The release of Realms was at the time controversial. Many players believed that it was solely being released to capitalize on the Minecraft multiplayer market, which, as we previously discussed, was entirely community run and funded. With the release of Realms, some individuals began looking into the EULA, noticing the new changes, and word began spreading in the Minecraft community. A user would publicly tweet at Minecraft Minecraft developer Grum, questioning these changes and asking why they were outlawing the ability to donate to servers. Grum would respond implying that what all servers had been doing up to that point was technically against the EULA. Obviously, this raised quite some concern in the Minecraft community, with players worried at what would happen to servers, many vocalizing their disagreement with Grum. A couple days later, Notch would chime in, mentioning you can charge for hosting servers but not for gameplay features. Other developers would also echo these same statements, mentioning that selling in-game items or goods has always violated the EULA and has not been allowed. Mojang began receiving a lot of backlash due to this. Players believed Mojang were trying to prevent servers from making money so that realms would be more profitable, or even trying to kill servers so people would use realms instead. Eventually, Jeb would confirm that an official statement was going to be made. Legally, you are not allowed to make money from our products. There has been one exception to this rule so far, Minecraft videos. We are now about to make a second exception, Minecraft servers. Outlined in this post were the new guidelines Minecraft servers were going to have to abide by. Notably, servers were not allowed to sell in-game items if they affected gameplay. No swords, potions, or other goods could be sold. You could no longer charge real-world money for in-game money either. Basically, servers were no longer allowed to sell anything that would give players advantages in-game. They could no longer be pay-to-win. After this post, the backlash intensified, so much so that only a few days later, Notch would tweet, "Anyone want to buy my share of Mojang so I can move on with my life? Getting hate for trying to do the right thing is not my gig." Mojang and Notch received so much backlash from these changes that it would result in Notch selling the game to Microsoft. Okay, but pause. You may be thinking, why was the community so upset at these EULA changes? Weren't Mojang making servers better for players by forcing them to be balanced and remove pay-to-win features? And many players at the time thought the same. They were happy with these changes. So, why were these EULA changes so bad and controversial, and how did they almost kill Minecraft multiplayer? To truly understand that, we need to talk about the inner workings of a Minecraft server first. Minecraft servers have a variety of operational costs that make them dependent on donations and purchases to survive, and as someone who has run a Minecraft server for almost 4 years now, I can tell you firsthand just how tough that is. You need to pay for server hosting, which can often set you back hundreds of dollars a month depending on your server's size. Then you have to pay to purchase certain plugins, server-side mods which are essential for the server's functionality, or for your own plugin development, which in the latter's case can cost thousands of dollars to tens of thousands of dollars depending on the scale of the plugins being developed. Then you have to pay for advertising. It's hard to gauge advertising costs from the time as it was 10 years ago, but today can cost you anywhere from a few $1,000s to $20,000 per month to be featured at the top of server listing websites, and the top is the only place 99% of players will look, so you need to be there to get noticed. Paying YouTubers to make videos, which was another common advertising method back then, would also cost you thousands of dollars too. For example, YouTubers such as BOO and Generic B were being paid $2,100 per video to promote servers, with their videos only getting around 100,000 views. Bigger YouTubers in Team Crafted like Sunday would get millions of views per episode, were supposedly being paid anywhere from $3,000 to $7,500, which adjusting for inflation is around $5,000 to $10,000 per video today. And all of this, of course, does not factor in the insane and constant time investment which is required to keep a server up and running, fixing issues, dealing with players, exploits, and much more, which is a full-time job in of itself. Basically, running a server was an extreme time and monetary investment. But Mojang was still allowing servers to make money through non-pay-to-win perks like cosmetics, right? Why couldn't servers just do that? Well, the issue is non-pay-to-win monetization just simply didn't work. Cosmetics aren't nearly as an effective money-making strategy as pay-to-win perks and items are. They aren't as alluring to players. I've made a lot of videos discussing this topic and even tracked the earnings of pay-to-win and non-pay-to-win servers to illustrate this point. But all you really need to know is that on average, a server purely monetized in a non-pay-to-win fashion with just cosmetics makes 4 to 5 times less money than a server the same size monetized with pay-to-win mechanics. In fact, there are quite a few non-pay-to-win servers who, despite having significant player bases of 50 to 100 concurrent daily players, are barely breaking even some months, many of which actually losing money. Okay, so now you have all that context, you can understand why server owners and many players were concerned about these aggressive and unprecedented EULA changes from Mojang. They were also extremely concerned at how many people had still not subscribed to the Mr. Epic, despite him getting very close to 800k subs and spending far too long reading through 10-year-old Reddit posts to make this video. No pressure. Anyways, when the new EULA changes were announced, many server owners and developers would reiterate how these non-pay-to-win monetization models simply would not work for them, and how they wouldn't be able to to maintain costs. Even the owner of the Shopbo network, one of the biggest Minecraft servers at the time, seeing thousands of players daily, one of the first servers to pioneer the network hub style we still see today, mentioned that these changes weren't feasible. He mentioned that the many players and server owners who had invested thousands of hours into servers would be forced to leave the scene and thus kill a large part of what many people loved about Minecraft. He also mentioned how Minecraft developer Grum, also known as Eric, seemed to have some sort of personal vendetta against servers, as illustrated in his Twitter comments. This is further backed up by his rather aggressive messages and legal threats made in private on Skype to big servers such as MCPVP, Hypixel and more, but most of these logs and messages seem to be long gone now. Regardless, his immature and out-of-touch comments regarding this situation painted Mojang's intentions with this change in a very bad light, only fueling the fire and drama more. Overall, server owners disliked how intolerable and unreasonable this EULA change was, leaving no space for compromise or negotiation whatsoever, many once again speculating that this was only happening due to Mojang's greed with the recent release of Realms. People were upset as they believed Mojang and developers were extremely out of touch and were overreaching. The multiplayer community, as mentioned, was entirely founded and maintained by the community, and had benefited Mojang immensely, as many of the game's servers were the only reason players bought the game or continued playing it. It felt like a huge slap in the face from Mojang to the multiplayer community, and as such on Twitter, alongside all the backlash, the Save Minecraft movement began, with even huge servers such as Mineplex participating. Things would really intensify when one of the lead developers of Bucket, the server software almost all servers used at this point to function, used even more than the vanilla Minecraft server software Mojang provided, would announce that due to the recent EULA changes, development on Bucket would be ending. Without Bucket, almost all servers would instantly cease to exist, as their many plugins and gameplay optimizations would no longer work. Shockingly, upon this announcement, it was revealed that Mojang themselves had actually secretly purchased Bucket and had effectively been employing free labor from Bucket's many volunteer developers for the past 2 years, who had been working on Bucket under the guise of contributing to an open source, community-run project. Due to this revelation, the community was even more up in arms, and one of the developers who had contributed freely to Bucket over the years, DMCA took down his code contributions to Bucket, of which Bucket could not function without. This effectively meant that Bucket could no longer be accessed and downloaded. That's a story for another video though. Ultimately, with this announcement, Minecraft's biggest server software and the backbone of the entire Minecraft community, the only reason it was able to reach the heights of popularity it did, was rendered null and void. This alone would have entirely killed the Minecraft multiplayer scene if it wasn't for Spigot swooping in to save the day. In the meantime, amongst all this chaos, server owners were scrambling to figure out what they were going to do, and if their years of hard work and money was about to be ripped from them. You see, servers had two choices now: become EULA compliant or stay non-EULA compliant. Bigger servers which were pressured more by Mojang did the former, and Mineplex, the biggest server at the time, after removing all pay-to-win mechanics from their server, saw revenue drops reportedly as high as up to 80% according to former staff, which was speculated to be part of the reason why the server was later neglected by its owners and saw a big decline in popularity. Other popular servers, such as the famous MCPVP, who also chose to comply with the new EULA rather promptly only months later, literally ran out of money and were forced to shut down.
The short and sweet answer is essentially MCPVP ran out of money to fund itself. For the past couple of months, servers were losing money, and MCPVP just wasn't making enough money to pay for all of that, and it was actually losing money for several months.
This was a server, mind you, that was still seeing 1,000 to 2,000 players online daily, and they were unable to fund themselves under Mojang's new EULA guidelines. Another hugely popular server, Woodycraft, owned by YouTuber Woody's Gamer Tag, a server which at its peak was also seeing thousands of players online daily, would eventually dwindle in popularity and shut down after the EULA changes, which, as Woody stated, were the final nail in the coffin. Supposedly, he hadn't made money from the server in months by that point. The Play Mindcrack server, a public Minecraft server owned by the Mindcrack group, which featured a variety of big YouTubers including Etho, DocM77 and more, considered to be the predecessor to Hermitcraft, also stated that the EULA changes made it virtually impossible for them to make money to function. The server released just prior to the EULA drama, and whilst complying with the EULA, didn't make any money most of the time the server had been operational, leading to the server's eventual shutdown in late 2015. One of the Mindcrack members who was significantly involved in the server would state a few months before the server shut down that the EULA stuff has done a lot to kill servers more than anything else. What's also not talked about is the number of smaller servers which the EULA changes hurt most. These servers were already barely managing their expenses, and now being forced to go entirely non-pay to win ultimately had no other option than to shut down. These servers, such as Lockedcraft, a server which saw a few hundred players daily throughout 2013, were suffocated by the EULA changes and are now completely forgotten by the internet. There are likely hundreds of examples of smaller servers like this that were killed by the EULA changes that the internet has not documented and will likely never know about. So what about these servers who chose not to comply? Well, most managed fine for some time, as the EULA wasn't enforced until a later Minecraft version, and a proper server blacklisting system wasn't employed until 2016. This system would only affect servers who updated beyond 1.9.3, and considering many refused to update past 1.8.9 due to the PvP changes, this left them fine for some time. Mojang still had their sights set on blacklisting many of these servers though, and when Mojang first announced their server blacklisting system, some server owners would come out vocally talking about how if they complied with the EULA, their server would not be able to survive.
Mid-size to large-size Minecraft servers around the world will simply cease to exist. We will die off hundreds of thousands a year in expenses between advertising, YouTubers, artists, web developers, system administrators. EULA compliance does not produce sales like non-EULA compliance does. Your favorite server is going to cease to exist, and you won't be able to play on it anymore because we won't be able to afford to pay our bills.
Servers such as Timeless PvP, owned by Sunday, after being blacklisted for not complying with the EULA in 2016, would eventually be abandoned by their owners now that the server could no longer maintain costs.
The whole time Timeless was blacklisted, I didn't have like one contact to the owners, and we got either no response at all for weeks on times, or a very limited response with like maybe 1 or 2 words.
Other servers, such as the Archon, owned by famous YouTuber Camping Russia, would struggle with EULA compliance throughout 2016, constantly having back and forth with Mojang's EULA enforcement team, stating that they felt Mojang was not giving them clear instructions and weren't willing to compromise in the slightest whatsoever.
2 months ago, they decided that what they thought was okay, they changed their mind again and said that was no longer okay. So all the development that the servers had done and changing their plugins and doing all this, it was completely useless. We have the new system ready. It's ready. We sent them a video asking if it's okay. I don't even know if they freaking watched the video, but it sounds like it's okay. It's tough to know what's right and what's wrong. I have no idea what to expect when I wake up the next morning. Things could change in a heartbeat, and my God, does it make it stressful for server owners.
With the EULA finally being enforced through server blacklisting, a large group of server owners, over 40 in total, would collectively compose a message to Mojang. This collective message outlined many server owners' negative experiences related to this new EULA enforcement, including Mojang's extremely poor communication regarding EULA enforcement, refusal to discuss alternatives or compromise, and an inability to listen to server owners or consider their perspectives.
Over these 2 months and the emails we have received, they've been pretty much demands with no option of communication, which is, okay, it's their game, we understand, but we're trying to figure out an option that works for everyone here.
These server owners mentioned that what Mojang was asking of them would ultimately result in their servers being forced to shut down, and as such, they were unable to comply. The post received widespread support from the Minecraft multiplayer community, but it did very little, if anything, to help. As time continued and we moved into the later 2010s, many servers would repeatedly fight battles with Mojang enforcement, being blacklisted, evading their blacklist using alternate IPs, and ultimately refusing to update to a version the blacklist affected. As a result, the Minecraft multiplayer community began a slow but steady decline in popularity throughout the later 2010s. As such, many of these servers began declining in popularity as the lack of updates led to players getting bored and leaving, or old game modes becoming repetitive and stale without any new changes. Many of the game's biggest servers, such as Mineplex, if they hadn't shut down already, saw huge player count decreases during this time period, resulting in a lack of development with the reduced income they had. In early 2020, after years, the Minecraft guidelines related to servers finally changed. Notably, servers were now allowed to sell things that affected gameplay, thus they were allowed to be pay to win, provided what they sold did not give players a competitive gameplay advantage. And whilst not stated explicitly, what Mojang considered a competitive server was simply a server that featured leaderboards or payouts. As such, just like that, almost all servers were now EULA compliant once more, able to simply remove leaderboards and claim they were non-competitive. Now, there were and still are issues with these guidelines, specifically related to their lack of clarity in specific areas such as what is considered competitive or not, as well as the rampant gambling through loot boxes, but in general, many server owners were happy with these EULA changes. But the damage may have already been done. Whilst COVID provided servers with big player count boosts throughout 2020 and 2021, ultimately, the multiplayer decline caused by the initial EULA changes 10 years ago are still felt today. Back in 2013, it would be common to see dozens of servers with 1,000 plus daily concurrent players, and many more in the low 10,000s. These days, you can count the number of servers on one hand that get over 1,000 players daily because there are so few. The popularity of Minecraft servers in general has more than halved compared to 10 years ago. While once it would be common to see big YouTubers do series and make videos on servers which would get millions of views, now outside of Hypixel, this basically does not happen at all. And while there still certainly is a sizable community and handful of sizable servers, it's likely we won't ever return to the glory days of the early 2010s, where certain Minecraft servers were household names and it felt like everyone was playing them or knew of them. And that is the story of how Minecraft multiplayer almost died. I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out my server, og-network.net. Be sure to subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching.